I'm Adam Calaway. I'm at NCBA 2014 here in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm with Evan Whitley. Evan, I want to talk a little bit about sustainability. McDonald's has said that they are going to start using verifiable, sustainable beef by 2016. What does that mean?
Well, I think from McDonald's perspective, they're going to try to source different commodities and different products that have sustainable concepts, and so what that means to our producers is the fact that they're going to have to start implementing management practices that conform with what sustainable measures are.
There seems to be some confusion over the word sustainability. Why is that?
Well, I think it means different. It has different definitions to different people because we have different backgrounds. It means something totally different to a producer because they utilize their resources in their land in order to make a living, as opposed to a consumer that may not necessarily know what goes into producing the perishable product, and so they have a different definition of it.
What are those definitions then, if you would say?
Well, I think that to a producer, sustainability means, am I here next year? And so to a producer, it has more of an economic connotation to it, and I think rightfully so. But to a consumer, I think that more and more consumers are getting more in line and more in touch with, what sustainability means from a environmental standpoint and also from a animal handling standpoint. And they want to feel good about the products that they're eating and how the animals were managed. And so I think in most sustainable definitions, there's three concepts. There's the economic, there's the environmental, and then there's the social. And so I think our consumers really want to feel good about the products that they're eating, how they were managed, and that there's a bigger picture in line with our production practices in agriculture.
Well, you're a producer. So tell me, how are you being sustainable in your operation?
Well, our sustainability, again, it goes back to an economic. We want to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to be sustainable from an economic standpoint because, that's how we put food on our table. But also, and it's a very important concept, it's important to note that an agricultural producer is utilizing the resources and they have to in a sustainable way, or else they will mine those resources. And I think so sometimes this whole idea of sustainability is redundant because I think most agricultural producers have always implemented sustainable practices. They just didn't define it in that way. And so we do some specific things as far as no-till and some different land management practices that would comply with sustainable. But I think, again, you can go broke implementing practices that might be considered sustainable but don't make economic sense. And so I think from a producer's perspective, it starts there.
How do you balance that then?
If you're managing your resources correctly, it's not really that hard because it's not in the best interest for a producer to go out and mine those resources because they're not going to be there next year. And so at least from a small farm perspective and a family farm perspective and in agriculture as a whole, there's only a certain finite amount of resources that we have at our disposal. And so it makes sense for all agricultural producers to make sure that they manage those resources in a proper and sustainable way.
Well, the last question that we've been asking everybody is if you could say one thing to all the consumers out there in the United States, what would you say?
I would say that it's very important for them to understand that the agriculture industry does everything that it can in order to ensure a safe and sustainable product.